Hello again, welcome to Patriots Across the Pond and friends with Stewie and Elisa. Today we have an amazing guest, Kate SHEMIRANI. The title of the show is Natural Nurse in a Toxic World, and Kate's got a lovely bio on the website, so I just thought I'd read a tiny little bit of that. Today, Kate is a public speaker, radio presenter, writer and advisor on natural health and nutrition. She works closely with individuals who want to optimise their health and vitality naturally through diet, lifestyle and understanding their bodies. Her mission is simple: to empower people to take back control of their health without fear and to teach others what she has learned on her own health journey. Kate is a voice for truth in a world full of noise. She stands boldly against medical injustice, working tirelessly alongside her dedicated researcher to examine evidence, challenge assumptions and expose facts. Together, they bring information to light and many dare not to speak of. Kate, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I can't say nurse anymore. I think it was this woman that she's a black lady, and I'm not saying that because in any way I care what colour somebody is. I'm just trying to identify her. And I think she used to be a nurse, and she took it through Parliament recently. And they got the first vote on. They used a couple of people who weren't nurses, who pretended they were nurses, and managed to get their way into hospitals. And when anyone who understands that when it goes into that big criminal place on the hill, the Parliament, it has its first reading, then it gets its second reading, then it goes to the ascending monarch and it becomes a law. So they had the first reading and it got passed, and then they took everybody's name out of it and put my name in it. Now, I was a trained and qualified nurse. I was a trained and qualified independent prescriber. I had a plethora of experience. I'd worked in many clinical areas, and I was one of the inaugural nurses for NHS Direct. And I also have a diploma in personal nutrition. Not that I think any of that means absolutely nothing. The doorbell goes as well, all at the same time. I've got chihuahuas, and anybody who knows what they are, they're alert dogs. Come here.
Elisa's got a barking dog as well.
She's quiet right now, but she's a crazy.
Open the door, and then they'll shut up. 2 seconds. I love live. It's hilarious.
She get hers quiet, Elisa, and then yours just start.
Yeah, I know. Hopefully she doesn't hear them. No, she's out cold.
Yeah, so how are you anyway?
I'm doing good. I feel like every time we turn around, I've said this before, it's Thursday. Here we are on Thursday.
So you said you woke up with a bit between your teeth this morning. That's sort of most days, isn't it, at the moment?
Yeah. You know what? I don't drink and I don't smoke, and maybe I should.
You need to do something. You need to
sorry. So basically, they took this through the courts, the Parliament had the first reading, had it passed, put my name in. And then they wanted a law passed retrospectively, which is unheard of. I think it's only happened once. A law passed retrospectively, which would have passed effectively just for me, to jail anybody who said they were a nurse who was not a registered nurse, because only registered is protected by Parliament. So that would mean nurse teachers, nursing assistants, and they tried to scale it down. Now, somebody, thank goodness, a lawyer must have said, you're not going to get away with this, and it got tossed out. So I decided, I thought, it was just lucky that we found it, but we're always ahead of the curve. I'm being mobbed now. I'm not upstairs in my office, so they don't bark, and now they're all joining me. So yeah, this is what they try to do. And I see this same woman, she goes on stage to talk to people. She's in government for some reason. I can't even remember. It's so boring and not interesting. And she thinks she's like a show person. When I see them, these people have disappeared up their own rear ends. They think they're celebrities, end times. They pretend to be leaders.
Yeah.
So, we don't say natural nurse anymore because, to be perfectly honest, I think what we're left with in the National Homicide Service, getting away with it since 1948, are people who know what's going on. They choose to continue. And if they don't know, they're so stupid, should they even be working in there? God help you. Taking 30 pieces of silver. So it's not a profession I wish to now be associated with at all. Because if you think about it, if you relied on everything that really does heal the human body and not petroleum-based medicines, they'd all be out of a job.
All of them.
And viruses don't exist. So if you're still squealing that you've got long COVID, please don't come in my earshot. You haven't. You've got radiation sickness, and you're probably so toxic from all the garbage you put in your body and on your body. Anyway,
Yeah. It's tough to get through to a lot of people. I mean, we all know that. And when you try to educate them, I'm talking about people in our sphere of influence, not even the major, roadblocks that we come against, like you have, just everyday people. They get nasty, they get rude. I just say, you know what? Go do what you have to do. Stay out of my sphere, because if you don't want to listen to good common sense, right? I love these people who still show up and say, oh, I just had COVID. Like
you have to pity them.
I have to stop myself from just giving them a punt.
I know, but these are the same people who talk about their illnesses in the supermarket and tell everybody they've been diagnosed with something. It becomes their badge of honor, and being on their drugs. Oh, my doctor said this. It's like when people get cancer and they go, oh, I've had cancer 5 times. No, you've had cancer once. You just never dealt with the underlying cause.
Right.
And they wear it like a badge of honor. I mean, you don't go around and tell people you've got cystitis or thrush. So why do you have to go around and announce to everyone, I've got cancer? And then I love it. Pavlov's dog. You get to ring a bell in the oncology ward. When you ring a bell, when you finish your chemo, they give you a certificate. I mean, it's so vulgar and crass. So I didn't tell anyone when I had cancer. I told just an absolute need to know little group. I don't even think there was 10 people. There was about 6 people in there, but they use it as a badge of honor. And now I'm sorry, but now I see I'm vaccine damaged. I want more money. What, you want us taxpayers to pay for it when we lost our jobs, our licenses, telling you not to take it. It wasn't mandatory. It wasn't compulsory. You chose to do it. Some of you even chose to give your children it. You believed them, or you thought, oh, I'll be all right because I want to go on holiday. I want to go to football. I want to go to a restaurant. The rest of us didn't, at great cost. And why should I pay for your decision? There's a government scheme that you can have. I think what it is, 120K. I'm sorry, but that's going to take you years as well. If you chose to do it, own your shit, basically.
Yeah, exactly what you're saying there, like a badge, because you've only got around places like Facebook and stuff like that. They cannot wait to post a picture. I've got COVID. Look at me with my mask on. Here's my Ukraine flag, etc., etc., etc. It's just...
LGBTQRST. I don't care what you identify as. Don't involve me in your mental illness or whatever you want to do. There's 2 genders. Yes, I worked in gynecology when I qualified. And yes, I've seen other bits, but they were still a man or a woman. And I'm sitting here on my biological vagina. Absolutely. You can cut parts off all you like, but it takes a man and a woman to make a baby. And it's as simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%. So, every time we get a new guest on, we always talk a little bit about their history, but how their awakening happened, basically. And, you know, a lot of people woke up in COVID, a lot of people before, but how was your awakening journey?
Well, I was diagnosed with the cat is determined to get on camera with her abscess that's now burst. Isn't that just lovely? That's all right. She's been having oregano oil. Get off the... She's been outside her thing. I was married and had a really affluent lifestyle, and I'm quite embarrassed about a lot of it now. I've actually gave 2/3 of my wardrobe to the cat charity shop recently. I was diagnosed with cancer in 2012, aggressive and deadly, lobular invasive grade 3 breast cancer. I read 3 studies. I had surgery 3 weeks later because I had private healthcare at the London clinic, which the Royals all use. And I read 3 studies when I came out after a double mastectomy and reconstruction that stated, and I literally came out on day 2 because I took 2 books in with me. Dr. Max Gerstner reported 50 cases in the China study. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've made a mistake here. My ex-husband was probably one of the most, him and my researcher, the most intelligent men I've ever met in my life. And he'd began researching. And I read 3 studies that said if I did everything on the menu, chemotherapy, radiotherapy, tamoxifen, Zoladex, including the surgery, my survival was 20% at 2 years, 0 at 5. And I'm 14 years on. Well, I declined everything else. I didn't do anything else, but I did lots. I did the full Gerson therapy for 2 years, fat-free, salt-free, sugar-free vegan diet for the first 4 to 6 weeks. Then after that, only 200 mils fat-free yogurt. 13 juices a day, 5 coffee enemas a day, masses of supplements. People can laugh what they like. I'm still here. And I still do coffee enemas. I still do 1 a day, and I still juice every day. And I did vitamin B17 protocol. When I started to research that, I was mind blown. Quickly telling people, because it's important they know, vitamin B17 is a seed. It has 4 molecules, glucose, benzaldehyde, and cyanide. The benzaldehyde and cyanide are inert. They're inactive until they come into contact with beta-glucosidase, which is found in 3,000 times greater quantities in cancer cells. Synergy occurs. They become very potent. They go into the cancer cell. They help to cause apoptosis, cell death. And then they drain through the liver. They filter through the liver, where they act as an analgesic, a painkiller, an antiseptic, a cleaner. They regulate blood pressure, which is wonderful. And when I say that they act as an antiseptic, it's effective for mold, fungus. So you have to look at all these things. And I did mistletoe injections into my abdomen for 1 year. And everything cleared up. Every condition I had seemed to disappear. And I turned 60 in November, and I don't take any meds. These are blue blocking glasses, as well as a slight prescription, because everybody knows when you look at a screen, it makes your eyesight go wobbly, but I can see perfectly well in the mornings. My eyesight improved, and that was it then. I began to research everything. I'd already stopped with the vaccines of the kids because I met a wonderful girl when one of my sons saw a consultant. So that was my rude awakening, and I went totally on a complete learning curve, and I still do it now, and I teach others on a Thursday night. And I'm not telling people don't do. It's up to you what you do. I'm not your master. Do your due diligence. If it feels right for you, go do it. It's up to you. It's not for me to tell you what to do. But what we're being told right now is they are jailing. They can kill you, and hundreds of doctors have been killed. They will kill your family members if you dare to start to uncover the truth. And I can tell you what has been exposed even since my daughter died, because of course that led me on a real fact-finding mission. And that was really the change for me in 2012. Do I think, oh, I wish it never happened to me? Absolutely not. Would I have had my breast cut off? Absolutely not. I made a mistake there. I'm about to actually have my entire reconstruction just removed, and I'll just have ribs, because you take away subcutaneous level layer, and my mother's going to knit me some breasts because I don't want these in my body, because I've authored papers on aspergillus, which has been found in synthetic implants. But I didn't tell my children. I didn't want them to know. I don't see why children need to know. And I had a reconstruction, so I looked normal. But it's not for me to tell anybody what to do. But it is all our duties to tell people the truth and everything else, because there is a piece of scripture. And I'm not hitting anyone on the head with the Bible either, because if you read in the King James, it's corrupted. And I'm banned from a lot of churches anyway. But there is a piece in scripture that tells us if we know something to be true and we don't say it and someone dies, then the blood is on our hands. Mm-hmm. If we say it, then we're exonerated. It's up to them what they do. You can... And you were saying, Elisa, such a pretty name. You were saying at the beginning, you tell people and they get angry. Well, it's not for us to convince anybody either. It's up to them what they do. But I won't die with the breath in me. I'm not afraid of them. I'm not afraid of the police. I'm not afraid of the government. Agents of the state, they're not in charge of anything. They don't scare me. I couldn't give a rat's ass if they didn't do whatever. The other great awakening for me was when I had a good friend who died and I couldn't save her, and I took it really personally. Mm-hmm. But she introduced me to scripture, and her story was so wonderful. I see someone's mentioning the 1939 Cancer Act. There's an act. But she introduced me to scripture, and it was the Bible unfolded to me, and I have a Greek translation and the Ethiopian now. So that was wonderful for me, and I've seen it work. It's a manual to live by. So they were my great awakenings.
Yeah. That's what you just said there as well about that Bible passage. I've had people say to me in the past that we've stopped talking to people about the jab because it puts them off when we're trying to wake them up. And I said, absolutely not, because exactly what you said, if people wake up to this, and I was quiet about it, I could never look at myself in the mirror, which is why I will tell people about everything, In fact, it was really hard to web pill people anymore. It has been for a long time, but you've just got to keep planting those seeds, and they'll come around. Your phone's going. Someone's buzzing on my.
Put it onto aircraft mode. That's my other beautiful daughter who's in London doing her master's in maths.
Oh.
But she's just announced to me, doesn't really mean anything, does it? I'd like to get married and have 6 children and get some sheep and make sheep's cheese and grow food. And I was like, she's definitely my daughter.
Good for her. You know what you say, though, it's kind of hard. Like you're saying, it's a little bit of our duty to just put it out there. But I find it hard not to do that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, as much as I sometimes go into a room and go, you know what? I'm not saying anything, but it's like vomit. It has to release. It has to come out. And like you said, people do what they want, but it does make it more difficult to be around those people, because if you don't have basic views on life, you don't have to agree with what I'm saying, but if you don't have an open mind, then it's very hard to have a relationship with people, because what do you talk about? The weather, what you cooked for dinner? Like, there's no substance, and I have a problem living in that energy.
I don't. I spend a lot of time on my own.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So better alone.
I do a lot of walking on my own with my dogs. They actually walk 5 miles a day. I love it. I have a very set thing that I do. I listen to scripture. I listen to a lot of real history stuff. I will very rarely, I don't catch up with client telephone calls. I'm very disciplined with myself, but I have a little handful of people that I spend my time with. Anybody knows if you invite me to a wedding, I'm not coming. I have a 2-hour capacity because I refuse to be around people that it doesn't feed my soul anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's tiring. I do lectures. I do a lot of lectures. I get invited to do talks. I tend to arrive before it, and I do spend some time afterwards because people have come to see me to question and answers. But am I like a festival goer and concerts? I'd rather rub my eyeballs with sandpaper. I don't want to sit in a cinema and have my brain fried. Like I said, I don't have a TV. I have a library. which is wonderful. And my daughter doesn't have a TV, actually. She's just a big reader. I don't really, I look at what makes me smile, you know, when I see my chihuahuas run after each other at top speed. Or when yesterday we were out and all the young male cows were out. Thank God they're allowed to graze. They don't slaughter them. There's a farmer that has them. And they're very interested by the little dogs. They come over to the dogs. They get all excited. You know, their cows are the most beautiful creatures. That's why they put their bovine serum from the hearts of the calves before they're born in the slaughterhouses into vaccines. Yes, they do. It's all in there.
Wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, things like that. I'd rather go. Yes, last night I went for a walk and watched the sun come down at Buxted Park, and it has a tree that predates Christ. It's a beautiful church. But we went for a walk around there, and all these cows were there, and it was just bliss to watch these cows playing, leaping in the air. So that makes me smile. Why do I want to go and be entertained by some gobshite Hollywood celebrities? I just don't want to. I do like ballet because I did ballet till I was 20, and I do flamenco, although I had some time off because I fell off a ladder and broke my heel and healed it without going to the hospital. It was agony for months, a year. But I like to watch ballet because it of the skill and the work that they put in to use their bodies to. It's incredible, but they trash their bodies. They're all knackered by the time they're.
Yeah, their feet.
I sit and watch because I understand the technical skill. Football, no, I'm not interested. I used to model all through my 20s. I was with an agency in Scotland, and I met enough footballers. Oh, I could tell you some stories about some very big things and some really put up their noses, but of course I won't.
Yeah. We're all the same. I don't watch football. My mates still talking about football, which is why I don't really engage that much. I meet up with all my awakened chums once a month. We have a nice roast dinner and a lot of chat. I go out running or cycling every day into nature, like you say, just sitting still or talking to the animals. I've done a bit of sheep whispering in the past. But we've all got to do that. Just get out into nature, and it's beautiful. Because when COVID came,
when what came?
When COVID came, I thought, here we go. Everything I've telling people about for the last 15 years is here. This is going to wake them up. And they went the other way. So, I mean, obviously you were really looking into things, you know.
Well, I got arrested and
before COVID.
Found guilty and fined, and they came to the door and to collect the fines. I was the only one that paid big fines.
Wow. You were at the first rally at Trafalgar Square.
We did the first rally. We did. I was MC. I believe, from what I understand, not that I care, because if you look through history, there's always your first wave of activists, then your next wave and your next wave. And all these people that keep saying, I was the first. Who gives them monkeys?
Yeah.
You know, get your ego and put it in your back pocket. The first rally was arranged, and I was asked to MC it because, of course, I was working for a local radio. In the January, I'd covered COVID. In the February, I said I managed to get onto the Chinese health website and said there's an inversion in the genome sequence indicative of vector technology, meaning it was nothing. It was just a computer thing. Doesn't exist. I talked about mandatory vaccines in China from the autumn. I talked about Wuhan being the test city for 5G and a few other things. Anyway, within short time, I think within 48 hours, that show had 2 million views all over the place. And it's only a little local radio. Anyway, they were contacted by Ofcom and they were told to get rid of me, remove all my shows. So they threatened me and they removed all my shows that I'd done for years with Tony. He got the sack as well. And I didn't care. And that was before the first lockdown. So I thought, oh, well, I'll just carry on and get bigger then, louder, which I did. I did these lives every day. Then I started doing the Lord's Prayer as well at 9 p.m. every night. So I got asked to MC this rally. And Fiona was brought in at the end, Fiona Best, or Fiona Rose Diamond, as she's known. And she organised it towards the end. She's brilliant at organising. No one can organise a rally like she can. And the rest of the organisers, and that's where I met a few other people, and Dolores Cahill. And we did the first one. And we were the first one around the world, Britain. I hope you realise we were the first ones to do the rally. One of the funniest things was because the helicopter was going over and they wave at the helicopter and I was on the mic because the live link kept breaking. So they kept getting me to fill in. Much as some people said, oh, she's hogging the microphone. No, I was pushed back out to fill in. And I was, shouting abuse about Cressida Dick, the chief constable at the time. And we got 40,000 people to say the Lord's Prayer. Well, I did, which would have absolutely, the vibration of it would have horrified all your Satanists. But it was live streamed all over the world. And I'd been listening to Alex Jones for years at that time. And so it was really funny when I heard him mention me on there. And it was equally as funny when I heard a rally in South America, or loads of people out in the streets speaking Spanish and Portuguese, one or the other, please forgive me. And all of a sudden they started chanting in English, choose your side, choose your side, police, which is what I'd started. When all the police came, I said to everybody, choose your side. And then everyone copied. But so then we did the next rally and we were outside Parliament when they were debating the Coronavirus Act. And that's where I got arrested the second time and kept in custody for 32 hours. And they drove to my house with my keys and let themselves in. You wouldn't have known they'd have been in my house either. They didn't take my cape off me or my high shoes. They brought me water, bottled water. I was political arrest allegedly. But we did it all. And, I was never really one for marching. Not really. I just got pulled into that a little bit, but I've stepped back because it really doesn't serve me and it doesn't serve what I'm about to do it. And I see that Montgomery Tom, I don't care what anyone thinks about him. He was a teenager. I think, what was he, 13 when lockdown happened? Now he's out there being, taking it out. He's a wonderful young man, Montgomery Tom. I think he's 21 or 22. Yeah. And he goes around the universities and I think, great for him. And I still work on the same American show every Saturday as the health expert, Sons of Liberty. And they're live on Rumble as well. It's a big station down in America. And I still do a show with Awake the Nation on a Tuesday in Los Angeles. So I kind of just carry on doing my own thing. And I can't even remember what you asked me now. I've rattled on.
Oh, it's just about the rally, really. I mean, the BBC, that's me at the rally at that. Is that going on? Yeah, that's at Trafalgar Square standing there.
Look at those.
All the police were there, masks on. But, there was about 45,000 people there. The BBC obviously said there was a couple of hundred of us. And I think we went to another one there's a couple of million of us over the weekend. The BBC said there was a few thousand of us then.
Yeah, there was 1.5 million of us one day. I was at the front with a megaphone and pink. I bought the pink scrubs just to piss off all the fat nurses. I actually wore a very expensive that I'd had made to measure, tailored with silver in it for my aesthetics clinic. I wore that. But I bought the pink scrubs and Kevin bought blue, and I bought a pink stethoscope, even though my stethoscope's actually black. Just really to go, whatever. Yeah. I can do your job. You can't do mine. But we saw them all dancing on the TikTok videos, and a lot of nurses came to me and said it was so vulgar. They took food parcels, they took discounts on the NHS website, which means the NHS were racketeering because they let people advertise if they gave discounts. All of these nurses I'd known for years who hated nursing and hated the patients. Now suddenly they were like, I wear my mask to protect you. What, like you wear your knickers for me? And I'm vaccinated. It was ridiculous. It was preposterous. And these nurses as well on these videos, they're not actresses because they can't even dance. No. And they were so fat. Would you really get health advice off somebody that fat?
Yeah.
With tattoos, when we know that don't get any tattoos, folks. They're finding the heavy metal from the tattoos in the brains at autopsy. And I just thought, what is this?
Yeah. It's a joke. Yeah. Well, here in New York, I don't know how much you know about New York, but like you have the city, you have 5 boroughs of the city, and then you have Long Island. So I'm in Long Island. I grew up in the city, but New York gets kind of like New York is Manhattan. And actually, New York
That's
is
just downtown. Yeah, yeah.
It's
I worked for BA for 10 years. Yes,
okay.
I am that old.
So you know,
I went to New York, five flights a day we had for BA. So
most people that live there, a lot of them are transplants. So they're not even native New Yorkers, but we get a rap of being a blue state because of, you know, all these people that come to the city because they can be who they are and all that stuff. But we had a couple of rallies out on Long Island, and we had a lot of people, certainly not like the way you guys had at Trafalgar Square. There was also some rallies up at our state capitol. And there was, you know, there was also like in Manhattan, they did have, you know, people just kind of getting together and, you know, screaming and yelling about like wake up and all that stuff. But I would say that New York, and maybe it's similar to like London, that people are so spelled. They're just so in this state, like they need to be hit over the head, you know, with like a 2x4, even after we get this ridiculous communist mayor. I mean, he had a commercial. Yeah, we had this commercial the other day, and it's so theatrical. I'm like, does anybody get this? But the point I was going to make is that I believe here in New York, we had come off of a number of years going back to Obama, where people were afraid, they not of COVID or anything like that, like, but, you know, people getting beat up and for having a, you know, having a Trump sign, people were, so you couldn't really tell who was awake and who wasn't, because I mean, old men, veterans wearing a Make America, they would harass them. So people got very, at that time, got self-protect, especially if you're a woman, right? Am I going to put things all over my car if I'm in a parking lot? Like we had that, the people had that mentality. So we had rallies here, and we had, you know, anybody comes into this area and you have a mask on, get out, you know, it was that kind of thing to try to empower. But I do think that a lot of the inspiration was coming from what you guys were doing over there, because it was and we didn't get any public, you know, we didn't get on the mainstream news. So it was all sort of what I call underground at that point. You know, if you're on Telegram or any of these other, where you're saying, how come they're not reporting on like 1 million people? Like, look at the photos. So people that were asleep kind of stayed asleep and thought the rest of us were just, you know, heathens, you know, because we weren't wearing our masks and we weren't going out and we were saying F you. Oh, I can't come in that restaurant. Good. Because now I'll never go in your restaurant ever. Oh, I can't go in your store without fine, no problem. F you. Don't ever expect me to come back. Like a lot of people just, oh, I got to go see this game and I got to go here. And I don't want to not be able to go out Saturday night. Okay. You know, we'll see.
But I think that was the whole point. It was to divide, because it's the ancient rule, divide and conquer. I think it was a French general at the turn of the century. He said, he was asked, what is an indicator of the true victor in battle? And he said, well, it's not the biggest army or the ones with the most equipment. It's the ones that never, ever retreat. They always advance. And I think when we're battling one another, we're static. We're in retreat. I said about working for BA for 10 years, and I did actually carry on nursing to keep my registration up, because I did long haul, so you'd be away for a good amount of time in the block of days off. But I used to go to Hong Kong, and it wasn't unusual to see people in Asia wearing masks.
A long time. I used to work there too.
It wasn't unusual, so it never bothered me. I didn't care.
Right.
I lived, you know, through Thriller and Michael Jackson, and he wore a mask for a while. Shaman with his glove on, all that era. So it wasn't unusual, but it's the fact that it was about division. And then if one then looks at Sun Tzu, the Art of War, again, when they took, you know, why did the Viet Cong whip America's backside, even though America had the best equipment, the best troops? Because they knew their terrain. So they were fantastic at hiding, and they knew the terrain and what to do. And so one has to know your terrain. What is it? Where are you going? Where do you want to be? What is it you're about? Or are you just going to be, under this firmament, just bobbling around? What's your terrain? What's your end game? For me, my end game, I knew in 2012 when I saw the corruption that was medicine. And when I learned all about Rockefeller, I read A World Without Cancer by G. Edward Griffin. And then, one morning, I'm sorry to be so graphic, folks, but I don't care, because coffee enemas were in the 5th edition of the Merck medical manual. They used them in the First World War when they had no opiates for the troops, because they are also a pain reliever. So I remember doing my coffee enema, looking out at my bookcase in my office, which is off my ensuite. It sounds terribly posh, doesn't it? My own shower and toilet, so one that they didn't get kids to use. And there was G. Edward Griffin texting me, and I'm looking at his book, starstruck. And he flew me to the Red Pill Expo to speak at the Red Pill Expo a few years ago, which was amazing. And they played some of that rally on this huge stage to all these Americans. But I always knew where I was going, and I always knew what it was about. And I was kind of an accidental activist, because I know that they'll kill you. They'll kill your family. They'll silence you. They'll do it whatever way. And so for me, it was always about health. So we have all these people wearing masks, fighting with people who don't want to wear masks. We have all these people. First of all, it was, get a shot. We need to, not have them in society, not treat them, not let them out, round them up, put them in camps, take their kids off them, kill their pets. Esther Ranson, and then you had, Edwina Curry. I don't want to go to the theatre bar and stand next to them if they're not vaccinated. I don't want to sit next to them in the theatre. Listen, love, most of us couldn't even afford to go to the theatre because we were on our arses, because we had no income. But anyway, we had all that. However, now, if you ask someone if they're vaccinated, they go, oh, I only had the 2. What, you've not had the 12? I don't want to say, I don't want to talk about it. It's all over, because they're embarrassed.
Yeah.
And, you have to pity them. Imagine being so afraid that you go and take an untested, unlicensed, uninsured experimental needle, breaching the integrity of your body. And incidentally, just to throw in, because I worked for TNT for a while as well, and I ended up interviewing most of my authors of my books. In 1970, they'd already made 70,000 modified RNA. Modified RNA had already made in 1970. It was shipped out to 500 labs, including the CDC. And that was when you saw the emergence of lymphoma, Burkitt's lymphoma, what they call AIDS-type illness. It was already made. Yeah. It was already there. This is long, long, long ago. All of these things were put into practice long, long, long ago. So you've probably already had modified RNA injected into you. And just to put it into a biblical perspective, what it was in your cells, your RNA is the protein. It goes in and it makes ribosomes, the protein making machinery in your cells. So this modified goes in, and they've ripped it in synthetic kind of fats, 4 of them, so that your own enzymes don't then come out of the nucleus and switch this off when it's done its job. No, it can't find it, because it's wrapped in a lipid parcel. So it keeps on making these spike proteins, which stick out of the cell. So they're putting a crown of thorns around. It's the Christ within. You are the house of God. It tells you in scripture, the enemy is at the cell wall. It's within you. It's within you. It's not somewhere up here. So they're crucifying again. They're corrupting. And yes, it does have the ability based on that to change your DNA. And there was a meeting in 2017 saying if they were to change your DNA, you have 10 billion miles of DNA in one genome sequence. 10 billion miles. Get your head around that. You're beautifully created. If you take one piece out and put a piece in that shouldn't be there, or translocate, you completely change who you are, your binary code from the creator. Are you even human? Is it then even murder to kill you? Is it genocide? No, it's not. This was all there. The documents were all already there. So when they talk about turbo cancer, a lot of these doctors, cancer was already 1 in 2 in the UK and America. Now it's 2 in 3 will get a diagnosis in their lifetime. It was already that. I was already looking at charities, how they made their money, Breast Cancer Now. And it was already there. And it's very simple. It's very simple while it's there. So I don't really even talk about, oh, people are getting turbo cancer because of the shots. Excuse me, the elephant in the room. They laid the 5G masts everywhere. You're already bathed in EMF, which is why you can't see it, I hardwire. And I forgot to put the hardwire on. That's why I suddenly switched it and you lost me for a minute. But, you're being bathed in EMFs. Go read Arthur Fuchtenberg's The Invisible Rainbow. If you don't want to read, you can get it on audiobooks. But people got sick, pets got sick. As soon as they began to change the electrical field around the earth, this is what you got when they did radar. So nobody talks about that. All your freedom doctors telling you, you can catch a virus. There's no such thing, you can't. And there's no contagion. It's just your constitution is degraded. And what degrades your constitution? Toxic air, toxic food, toxic water, EMFs, all of that. So all of your people that are running around still fighting with one another about the COVID shots, what are you eating? What are you drinking? How long are you sleeping? Are you getting out in the midday sun when your shadow is short, the early morning sun, the late sun? Are you wearing sunglasses which block that infrared that needs to go straight into your eye to hit your aromatic amino acids to make chemicals that can't be made any other way? So when you're wearing your designer Chanel sunglasses, I've got a drawer full upstairs from when I was a twat. And I want to wear them, and I will not sell them or give them away because that's like giving poison to somebody. I'm not going to do it. So you need to stop fighting with one another and think about, you know what? I've been with a lot of people when they die. I've seen traumatic deaths, deaths that were expected, slow deaths. I've worked in a lot of areas, including the busy staying in Europe. My first job was in a gynecology ward. I've seen abortions, horrific. I've held little embryos, fetuses in my hand when they've been miscarried. I've been in a very privileged position. You have to ask yourself, because when you die, you do it on your own. You have to say, when does life begin for me? Conception for me. And when does life end? With cessation of the respiratory system, the cardiovascular system, and the neurological system. Not when you're put into a chemically induced coma to paralyze your diaphragm. You need to ask yourself, what am I about? What serves me and what do I serve? What am I doing to this vehicle that I've been given to enjoy this life? Instead of fighting with everybody else, I really don't care anymore. I'm beyond care.
I think we're all beyond that too.
I couldn't care if you say she's nuts. I've been called nuts so many times. I couldn't give a rat's ass.
We talk about that all the time. Like, okay.
None of us care about that.
But that's why this...
I've worn sunglasses for years, and they have attacked us from every single angle. And Elisa, I say this all the time, that people that were awake before COVID, whether it was 9/11 or any of these other things, it's what we've all learned to do the most, being truthers when COVID came, is to take care of our health better. None of us want to go to the doctor. None of us want to go anywhere near a hospital unless we're in
absolutely. I'm going to tell you why in a minute. Oh my word, what we found out.
Well, I'm going to talk to you about NG191 in a minute. And all
that's so old. You're way beyond NG151.
Yeah,
NG159, NG191, NG163. And then it goes on. It's gone way, way beyond that. And what I can tell you, you know what? Don't even talk about anymore, because that's what I'm saying. They're keeping you fixed on that. And I know Paul Dimmock in that case. I actually spoke to Majid Nawaz when we gave him all the documents that we were talking about the nursing. So gone. What you should be focusing on now is from. Sorry, I've interrupted you. Carry on, and I'll go on. I
was just going to say that we have stay clear of hospitals and doctors, but we have all learnt to distill our water, look at our vitamins. We're all putting magnets on every tablet we get now or anything like that. See if it's got graphene oxide and it sticks to a magnet and stuff. We are eating better foods. We are going out exercising, all these various things. So the truthers are maintaining their health better. But NG191, I remember that must have been 4 or 5 years ago that I heard about it, you were talking about it, and then I heard you a little bit later on say it's moved on now, it's now this. So do you just want to talk about all that through process?
Yeah, and
that was amazing.
Yeah, your viewers, just to say, hepatitis B vaccine, there is a link, and don't let them tell you there isn't, with MS. But what is MS? It's just Latin for multiple scars. And it's all these things are man-made, but what do they do to treat MS? They give them interferon. They make a lot of money out of them by suppressing their thing and saying it's autoimmune disease, which is another bollocks. But basically, the Epstein-Barr virus that 90 to 95% of the population have will go and sit in the B cells in the thyroid and in the myelin sheath. Now, I know that a lot of cops get MS from having the Hep B vaccine. All I can say is look after your constitution, eat organic, nutrient-dense foods, grow them if you can, absolutely get a distiller. I've got a Kilner jar with a prayer on it. Remember the work of Dr. Emoto. Remember there's 4 states to water. Your crystalline gel state, I can talk a little bit about that in a minute. And try not to worry about it. Someone's mentioning about blood transfusions. The Jehovah's Witnesses got it absolutely correct. I don't agree with them. You don't need to do that. And guard your heart with all due diligence, that for all that is life flows from it. Your heart isn't a pump at all. You talked about exercise, the fact that you should be walking every single day. You should walk. We used to walk 10 miles a day, but you should try and do 5 miles, even 3 times a week, spread it out. I do 5 miles every day. You can take 20 years off your age by doing that. And when you walk in the sole of your foot, you have the plantar venous flexus in the bottom of your foot, a group of blood vessels. And as you do heel ball toe, there's an electrical charge as well as you hit the earth that forces the blood up to the calf muscle. That is part of your circulation. Within your blood vessels is a border, a hydrophilic border, water loving. When the light hits your body or you earth, the water in your mitochondria in your cells, the little powerhouse, you're just a bundle of cells, that water begins to separate. Some of the water goes toward that water-loving border. It's called exclusion zone water, Gerard Pollack called it. It's negatively charged, H3O2. The other water is positively charged, H2O. It's the movement. You need that for your blood to move in your vessels. Your heart does not pump. It stops the blood. The blood falls. You've got the aortic arch. It should straighten out if it was a pump. It doesn't. It bends in. So you need to walk every day. Every time you're sitting, you ideally need to get up every 30 minutes because otherwise you cause inflammation in your blood vessels. So whether you're exercising every day, you could be doing 2 hours in the gym, beasting yourself. But if you then go and sit for 4 hours in an office job, have your lunch in another 4 hours, you're going to be no fitter than the person who sits and gets up every 30 minutes. That's a fact. That's why you see Ironman challenge people get cancer, and I can never do anything with them. They always die. And you see bodybuilders, all of these things. So this is why you need to come on my website, kateshemirani.com. Join us at the round table on a Thursday. I will teach you this. You become ministers of true health and healing so that you don't need to enter into that system. Now, going on to what you were saying about NG159, NG163, NG191, these are all protocols, end-of-life care protocols. And this is where they give you morphine and midazolam, which when you give them together, you get a synergistic effect. They become far more powerful. And they remove all essential food, water, and medication. Well, hang on a minute. If you've been on lorazepam and you're an elderly person and you remove it, you cause inner chaos as one of the side effects, because I was a prescriber. And you numpty fat nurses out there that like to say I'm not, come on, bring it to the table because I'll see you under the table. And, I never, ever let anything go by me. If I don't understand it, someone asks me a question, I'll go and I'll research. So those went on. And even in the GMC guidelines of end-of-life care, you don't remove. To die of dehydration is the worst thing. You even use subcutaneous to get fluids into the patient. It's not going to extend their life. It's just going to make them die comfortably. But we have what's called the Palliative Care Funding Review. Please look it up. The Palliative Care Funding Review, the Lansley report. And it goes from 2011 to 2031. And just to say, in America, all of your documents are based on ours. And we know that because we helped Scott Sharer, with his case with Grace. We found him the British documents and it really pushed their case forward. So the Palliative Care Funding Review, it has on page 64, please do look it up, Palliative Care Funding Review, get Googling now. Page 64, roll down. I've posted it again on social media. There is a box that says they're going to be incentivizing and broadening palliative care because it's cash for corpses. They get paid. It is, what it is a tariff. As soon as you're put on end of life care, the trust gets money. So you can't survive because it costs money. They get a certain amount of money. And if they keep you going for 6 weeks, it's going to burn into that. And then it's going to be burning into their money. So they get rid of you with about 48 hours. Planned incentivized euthanasia point system is what it is. And you go on that and it tells you from 2011, you see 18 plus going right up to 65 plus. And then it goes up to 2031. And it's incredible. You see the death rate in the 65 plus going up. Well, if you're injecting them with flu shot, COVID shot, shingle shot, pneumonia shot, one could be forgiven into believing that they should be living longer, but they don't. Their death rate exponentially increases because they're useless. They're no longer worth anything. So that's what they're doing. Now, since the death of my daughter, we found the termination of resuscitation document. We've found the fact that South East Coast Ambulance, the other ambulances up and down the UK, they did a trial with Warwick University called the Paramedic 1 and 2 trials, and then South East Coast did the cost analysis trial on the people of Sussex. How nice of them. They all had the consents waived. Now, the best way to get adrenaline in is you put, if it's in the event of an emergency, 2 wide bore cannulas, because you want to get it in and hold those blood vessels open. The worst way to get it is via an intraosseous gun where they shoot you in the leg. You would use that for people who've got no tissue, burns victims, or people that have got peripheral shutdown, you can't get a vein. They're using that standard now, and it's an intraosseous gun that comes out of Israel. It's a battlefield state gun that's used. They're using adrenaline, which comes from Teva Pharmaceuticals, which is Israel. It's an Israeli company. They've set up three sites in the UK. They're giving huge sums of money to the UK hospitals. They gave 4.5 million to Maidstone last year. And they are going out, for cardiac arrest, and you get shot in the leg, you can have up to 10 doses. The French study stated that by the 3rd dose, because it causes constriction of the blood vessels to the brain, pushes all the blood to the heart, they don't need your brain. Remember, everybody became an organ donor in the UK from the 20th of May 2020. You have to opt out. That can still be overturned if one of your loved ones says, oh, I'd like Johnny to be an organ donor. And they have a SNOD nurse. The National Organ Retrieval Service has a SNOD nurse in all these intensive cares that you don't know who they are. Let's say she. They don't identify themselves. And their job is to identify prospective donors and to approach the families like vultures. And the National Organ Retrieval Service, their priority, it states it in their documents. Please go down my Twitter feed. And Facebook. It states that they prioritize the organ, not you. In their documents, it states as well that 50% of those that they're taking organs from will have a reflex. It's not a reflex, because I've asked pathologists, how many of your candidates, when you're eviscerating them, doing autopsies, do you see doing any of these movements? And the answer back was none. They will put their arms, they will turn their heads, they will open their eyes, they will sweat, blood pressure goes up, pulse goes up, they'll draw their legs up, they'll extend like you're in pain. They'll turn their bodies, they'll arch their backs because they're alive. You cannot anaesthetize because it damages the organs. So they give you a drug called rocuronium and vecuronium. They are paralyzing agents. Rocuronium is used on death row. They use it on death row with midazolam and other drugs to kill you in a chemical, chemical, when they're killing you, execution. Chemical execution. So this is what they use. It's used in anesthesia very carefully. You must always give painkillers first, because once that patient is paralyzed, they won't be able to tell you they're awake and they can feel it all and see it all. So this is what's given. So you cannot take an organ from a cadaver, from a dead person. You have to be alive. When I worked in A&E, what you would find is you might get someone in that golden hour and get them to definitive care and intensive care, but they would die over the next few weeks because the organs would begin to fail because they hadn't been perfused. Oxygen hadn't got to them. So this termination resuscitation list has got about 70 things why you're not going to get resuscitated. And resuscitated doesn't mean someone jumping on your chest. It means food, water, essential medications, ventilating. So Jeremy Hunt in 2017 stated that they would be using the air ambulance to, quote, scout for organs, to get more people to identify organs. Then in 2021, Matt Hancock, who people call him Dazzler Matt, but Matt Hancock stated in June the 1st, that we were going to be the biggest organ donors in the world, and that most of the people that are donating are white people. We are a small country by comparison, where you've got, 4 billion in India. Why are we going to be the biggest? Anyway, that's dropped. Thank you. I think I crashed the site on several occasions with my posts telling people, you really must opt out, because they are doing 62 genetic tests on all babies born in the UK now, born in hospitals. They can take entire systems from babies when they're 2 months old. Oh, I'm so sorry, your loved one's got this genetic disorder and they're possibly not going to have a good standard of life. And it's going to, put a lot of pressure on you and your husband, your families, but we could just let them slip away. Don't listen to them. Liars. This is eugenics. Yeah. It's always been here, and it is always here. Now, they are utilizing the air ambulance. If you're giving money to the air ambulance, don't. If you are believing Southeast Coast Ambulance, I now have from Southeast Coast Ambulance, on behalf of the CEO, Simon Weldon, an email that states, so if you were to have a cardiac arrest, you should be hooked up to the LifePak 15 machine. That company is American. It's owned by Stryker. It's worth I think it's 1.62 or is it 139 billion? It's worth over $1 billion. They're in 70 countries. They have over 50,000 employees. They sold these machines. Our ambulance has bought them here at $30,000 a pop. When you get hooked onto that, and it records everything as a graphs, and then the figures come out. Everything that's done, everything that they do to you. That forms part of your medical records. According to NHS England, that has to be retained for 8 years. It's also, it's your contemporaneous medical records. It's for governance. So that if those paramedics do anything wrong, it's all there. It's all there. Southeast Coast Ambulance admitted. So at the end of the day, just to say, that machine has to be docked. And somebody's responsible for the docking of that machine, and all of the information on that machine gets loaded up to the LifeNet, where it's kept by Stryker in America as well for years and years. Anything goes wrong and the police are involved or anything, you can go straight there. Stryker admitted to me when I involved Stryker for my daughter's stuff, and they said they approached Southeast Coast Ambulance for the data because it wasn't in the LifeNet, and Southeast Coast Ambulance ignored them, totally ignored them. Why would they do that? Southeast Coast Ambulance told me from their lawyer, Ava Pendrick, she sent it from her email, somebody else wrote it on behalf of the CEO, Simon Weldon, that at the time of my daughter's death, that they were only uploading 35%. And they said it wasn't mandatory, the paramedics forgot, and the equipment sometimes wouldn't upload. Preposterous. This is the Wild West now. It means they can get away with murder. That's what it means. So I've gone to Southeast Coast. I've gone to NHS England, and I've gone to the Information Commissioner's office because I can't bring my daughter back. She never had a cardiac arrest. Never, with what we have out of that machine, just the numbers. We want the rest of the data. The blood gases, no cardiac arrest. The ECGs taken later, which we took out of the country and got medical officer from a coroner, the top coroner for a country, to look at it. No cardiac arrest. I can read ECGs. Her blood's no cardiac arrest. The DICOM CT scan that was withheld from the inquest from us till the day of it. We now have the full file. The mass in her mediastinum had shrunk by 65 to 90%. Her chest was full of air and fluid caused by the paramedics who overdosed with adrenaline, gave her rocuronium, took them 2 hours to hand her into intensive care. They wouldn't let me into the ambulance. Took them 2 hours, to hand her into A&E, but for a 24-minute journey going 40 miles an hour. We've uncovered all this on the back of my daughter's death. I cannot bring her back, but I can absolutely tell you I will not stop. And if they kill me, it won't stop because we've got the information everywhere. They are doing this because the best organ donors are under 30 with a beating heart, a circulation, and ideally on a ventilator. And the World Health Organization has just adopted Southeast Coast Ambulance's Paramedic 3 trial, what they did, and that Paramedic 3 trial was a cost analysis. They knew it was just to see if it was cheap, which was the cheaper way. Intraosseous gun into the leg or in the arm. They're going to give you the gun in the leg. Now the undertakers are saying they're seeing this gun in the leg with every single body. They'll give you up to 10 doses. Whether you're a 250-pound male or a 6-stone girl like my daughter. It overdosed her. All of the symptoms were there. And they're a full omerta. From the coroners down, their senior coroner for East Sussex was in jail in 1997 for perverting the course of justice, for lying for her detective constable boyfriend who was 5 times over the drink drive limit. She went to Wormwood Scrubs. He went to jail for 18 months, she for 3. They both lost their jobs. She lost her license for 2 years. Then she got it back. She gets a lawyer's job, a coroner's job, and a senior coroner's job. She's in charge of Operation Bramble with all the deaths down at Brighton Hospital. She was in charge of the Shoreham Air disaster. Look at that shit show. It is all tied up. I represented myself. I did all the cross-examining. I learned the Coroner's Act. And the coroner that was in, Catherine Judith Wood, is medically illiterate. They're not medically trained, our coroners in this country. They're not Quincy. Then we had Alison Hewitt acting as barrister, but she's a senior coroner as well. She's also named in the Jewish Chronicle as acting for the Jewish community. She sits as, I think it's Casey in the City of London. What a surprise. Do you see? These are all one filthy, dirty trough, and they've got it all stitched up. The medical system is nothing more than a kill machine. You've got the agents of the state, the police, pimping for a tyrannical government who aren't in charge. And you've got the coroners. And many of the coroners are Jewish. I'm not saying, listen, I'm not anti-Semitic. Some of my friends are Jewish. And what we're talking about here is Zionism and anti-Semitism are 2 different things. I'm talking about a lot of Zionism here. And the City of London is not the UK, but they've got this all tied up. This is why the Jewish community have a completely separate, they can't have their ventilators switched off. The mermaid flowchart, as soon as they don't recognize brainstem death, it has to go to their rabbi. What I'm telling you is all on my Twitter feed, every document. I cannot save everybody, but what I can do is bring you the documents and show you. It's up to you what you do. Yes, Lucy Letby was totally innocent. We said it from the beginning. She was a whistleblower 3 years prior. And they already knew there was sewage leaking into the lift space. They were taking babies that were too young that would ordinarily die anyway. And it was preposterous. Look at Beverly Allett, pediatric nurse that was also found guilty. Look at Harold Shipman. I'm sorry if that's just suddenly thought, oh, she's mental. No, go look at Harold Shipman's case. Impossible statistically for him to do all what he said. If you're prepared to accept that Lucy Letby's a patsy, go look at the rest. Go look at the rest. Lucia de Burke, who's just died, who was another paediatric nurse, and it was Dr. Richard Gill, who I had the pleasure of interviewing, who got her off 9 years later. And he's absolutely gone for the case for Lucy Letby, Harold Shipman, the lot. But, I can't change a lot of this stuff. This is all tied up. These people are Satanists. They don't see things the way we do. So I think, what can I do? I can eat clean. I can teach people natural medicine, all of the hidden documents. I can help people to live the life that they want to live. And I can just enjoy this time on this earth, but I don't have to accept it. And I see Dr. Peter McCulloch now, and I get asked all the time to sell people's products. I ain't doing it because a lot of them are dirty.
It's a wellness company, yeah?
Yeah, I got asked to do that, and I was going to, but they're selling now adrenaline shots.
Yeah.
And listen, people, if you're having an anaphylactic reaction, you've got a damaged gut for a start. But you've had everybody said, I need ivermectin, I need fenbendazole, I've got parasites. We've always had parasites. It's when your constitution is lowered. Your parasites eat your heavy metals. This is why you eat natural foods. I eat a whole bulb of garlic every day. This is why you have to do these things. You can take as much fenbendazole and ivermectin, and I think ivermectin's owned by Merck. Are you mental? You should be eating your natural foods. But to now move on to adrenaline pens, I'm having an anaphylaxis, and they start injecting. with adrenaline pens, you're going to kill somebody because it causes vasoconstriction. Remember the French study said 3 doses and your brain's toast. You're delivering 2.7% of people that get that intraosseous adrenaline make it to the hospital. And of those, 93%, it's either 93 or 97, are 4 to 5 on the ranking scale for brain damage. 6 is death, 4 to 5 is vegetable. I'm not saying, if people suffer from peanut allergies and they carry an adrenaline pen, that's different. But to sell this to the layperson, the worried well, stop it. You're out of your minds. You should be sitting down thinking, if you need to read ingredients, you shouldn't be eating it. Mm-hmm. I've never seen a chicken breast. Well, even it should be organic. You should know where everything's coming from. I choose not to eat animals. It's just my choice. I haven't since I was a little girl. But, I eat real food. Today, I've had 2 organic eggs. I just had them on their own with a bit of Celtic sea salt. And I've had 700 kilograms of carrots and 2 pink lady apples already juiced in 3 juices, and with a big chunk of ginger in it. And I've had loads of peppermint tea. It's not urine. People say I drink urine. It's peppermint tea. I'm going to go and do a big walk. And then when I come in, I'll have some more juices. Every now and again, I have chlorine dioxide. I'm not telling anyone else to do it. You can cartwheel around your living room. This is just for entertainment purposes. I personally have every now and again for several days, I'll have every hour chlorine dioxide with DMSO in. My choice. But this is what I do. There's a lot of things I do. I sleep on an earthing mat. I've been seen to sleep on the forest. You should always be on the ground every day, even in the winter, for at least 5 minutes with your feet on the earth. If you want to learn all these things, come join me. I'm $5.99 a month. And don't be thinking, it's a money-making thing. I've got to pay for the platform. I've got to pay for the Zoom. Right. I've got to pay for my website. What do you want me, living in a tent? I've not been on a holiday in years and years and years, since 2016, apart from Tommy Robinson flew me to Spain because I interviewed him and he interviewed me. I don't care what you think of him. I'm not even going to get into that. It doesn't affect my life, Steve. And I got flown to the Red Pill Expo, but I stay on my own ship. I'm not part of any group. I'm not part of any movement. I don't care what anybody says, because when I take my last breath, and I'm getting out of here, I'm either going over that ice wall or I'm getting murdered or I'm going to die, one or the other. We're all going to die. Then it all comes. Someone said, ivermectin is natural in organic soil. Yes, it is. Dogs, cats and animals eat grass. That's right. And they earth every day through their pores. That's absolutely right.
I've been sleeping on an earthing sheet for about 2 years now, and I sleep incredibly well. When I'm out,
need to earth on the earth.
Yeah.
And you must have a little bit of time where you take it off your sheet. Because if there is a lot of EMF around, I stayed with the Amish in 2016, and they even take the copper pipe, they take everything out their walls. Incidentally, I do have copper pipes around my property planted in the ground, and I have geopathic stress absorbers in my house, 2 big ones that I lay down every 3 months and then put back on the wall, because geopathic stress, all the farmers know about it and the druids. I've been at this a long time before COVID. I know they tried to paint me as Barbie, but that was just to discredit me. But you must have at least a little bit of time without sleeping on your earthing sheet. Just go and stand outside on the earth. I collect my dog turds in even in winter with no shoes and socks on. I have walked in dog shit, and it washes off, believe it or not, with the outside tap. It won't kill you. People are saying that dogs and cats are more likely to get you're more likely to get it from your parasites. Yeah, I sleep with my chihuahuas. They sleep in my bed, one on my head. I don't care. But I that's why I choose to do chlorine dioxide and DMSO. And that's why I choose to eat natural wormwood. I choose to have garlic. I eat a lot of garlic raw every day. I have at least a bulb. I love it. I'm still here.
Yeah. Oh, garlic's amazing for you, isn't it? I think, your passion fight for this is amazing, because a lot of us in this
And with no notes, look, no notes. I've just reeled off government documents. Yeah. It is easy for me to learn. If I enjoy it, I can read it and remember it, and I can read it in my head from a document. I can read along the lines. I can take it out a drawer in my head.
Exactly. You know, a lot of us in this truthing movement we don't fear death, which is why we're living, you know, and which is why we're fighting. You can do whatever you like to us, but we're never going to stop trying to get this information and doing what we're doing. And you know, there's people like us all around the world. It doesn't matter how big or small your voice is, just use it. I say this to people all the time, you know, and whatever you're looking at and rabbit hole you're going down, follow the money, because it always leads to the same handful of people at the top of the pyramid.
I think it's follow the energy. It's a bit of a luge farm. Remember your anger, jealousy, resentment, fear. There was a PhD study. They do resonate 0.2 to 2.2 hertz. Joy, laughter, love, acceptance, feeling that you're valuable to one another. That resonates at 180 to 220 hertz. You get sick when you've been very stressed or you've had a bereavement. You resonate much lower. This is what they feed on. They feed on fear. In Ephesians, in the Bible, it says, "Put on your full armor of God." And interestingly, your shoes in preparation of the gospel, your girdle of truth, your breastplate of righteousness, your shield of faith to bat off the arrows, your helmet of salvation, which is your faith, your hope. You have to have faith and hope. And they're all weapons of defense, defending yourself. But your weapon of offense, your only weapon of attack is your word. And what is word? It's the sword. The sword. They talk about it as the sword, which is the word. And if you go back to Genesis, I'm not Bible bashing, but I just want to say this. It says in the beginning, because remember the Bible was written in numbers. In the beginning was the Lord and the Holy Spirit, and they were one. And the earth was without form, and it was water, and they moved across the water. Well, what is movement? It's energy. And what is that energy? It's physics, therefore it's maths. And this is where the work of Dr. Emoto comes into. You are 75% water. Your brain is about 85% water. Your enzymes, your DNA, your proteins, they are all, your heart, they are all spirals sitting in water. So what is going to change? And there's 4 states to your water: liquid, gas, which is steam, ice, which is solid, and a crystalline gel. And it's geometrically shaped. It's amazing when it structures. What is going to change that? Your word, your sword. Life and death is in the tongue. So you have to be careful what you're listening to, and that fear, because the devil comes to lie, cheat, steal, and kill. And we have our helmet of faith and hope. And this is why when you meet somebody new and you think you're in love and it's wonderful, suddenly the co-worker at work who pisses you off, suddenly they don't bother you anymore. You're walking on air. You're farting butterflies. You don't care. And this is why they need you in fear. This is why you go onto social media. It's all death, murder, kill. And you're in a little echo chamber, because if you open another account and go through the devil's tool, Google, you'll see a completely different Twitter where they're all agreeing with one another again, pro-vax. So they're showing you war. I can tell you what's happening in Iran is very different to what we're being told. They're showing you war, death, destruction, so you become fearful. We're going to run out of food. My mother's 82. She said, God, they've been doing that since you were little girls. And I remember Frankie Goes to Hollywood, when 2 tribes go to war, we all received a leaflet through the door years before that. There was going to be a nuclear bomb. There are no nuclear bombs. It's BS. They can't prove an atom exists. We were going to be killed with a nuclear bomb. We were told to hide in our stair cupboard, the Harry Potter suite, put a mattress in front. You couldn't even get in house. Got the vacuum cleaner in it, the ironing board. It's all BS.
Yeah.
To get you fearful. And that's your luge farm. They're collecting your fear, people. Even this lot, Madonna and everybody else, they've all been lied to. None of them are getting out of here alive, idiots.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny what you said, not funny, but, I'm by profession, I'm a life coach, health coach, and session 3, because I have a program, is always about letting them understand the frequency, and where we vibrate, and explaining, like, you need to take control of where your frequency is. And this is, what it means and what it does, because anybody who's going through some kind of transition, right? We're always going through transition, but if you're seeking out a coach, you're looking for them to kind of help you or guide you or bring out of you what's already there that you haven't accessed. And I love when there's like an enlightenment in people to understand how they can control the fear and the anger and the lack and the thinking, and how life is going to start changing, because that's where you're living now. You're at this different level. So it's so true what you say about that. And that's been their MO. Everything's about
They use frequencies to heal bones that won't heal anymore.
Right.
Orthopedic surgeons know it. I see people, I have a beamer mat, which is NASA technology. It's amazing. I don't mean NASA the moon. It's it's a different spelling. The moon landing. Anyway, if you believe you've been to the moon, you really need to bobble your head. And they happened to lose all the documents. They got destroyed and they haven't been since.
They lost them.
They found them again a couple of weeks ago, didn't they? Went back the first.
We're under a firmament, as above, so below. It's water. It's water. Oil doesn't run out. The oceans all drain into where it's on old maps. I don't care. I can't change any of it. But I do know that we if we're worrying, look at what this self-fulfilling prophecy. If you think I'm going to trip, and you're walking along with a tray, you'll trip. Right. Self-fulfilling prophecy. Everything that's happened to me in life, I can absolutely assure you, I thought about it all and brought it on and was having thoughts and imagining things. And when I realized finally, I had to change that. I had to change it. Yeah. And even, with my daughter, she said the most profound thing the day we were going to see the lying toad osteopath, who's now being investigated. Listen, that whole case with my daughter isn't over. I can assure you, they know it's not, because they knew that coroner it's just her opinion. Medically illiterate coroner, Catherine Judy Woody Woodpecker. I wasn't frightened of her at all. She couldn't even get my name right. And I didn't sit there all cowering. No, they had so many barristers and lawyers in there, and even had cops in there. I tried to get a crime reference number recently. I reported a crime and I never got one. 12 hours later, I got a letter from a detective inspector from the police headquarters saying, you're not getting one. Criminal Justice Act 2015, Part 126, 2 and 7, abuse of police powers and privileges. I think that carries up to 14 years in prison if found guilty. I did remind him of that. I think you've got to be really careful what you're thinking, what you're watching. You shouldn't be watching these movies that make you scared, that keep you on the edge of your seat. They know what they're doing. It's to destroy your temple. It's to change your crystalline gel water. That's what it's doing. Get out, walk every day. If you're sitting, get up every 30 minutes if you can. Again, drink clean, eat nutrient-dense organic food. You won't waste it. You'll be really stingy. If it starts to go soft, your apples, you'll cook them, put them in the freezer. Find what other people are growing, grow your own. And sleep. Sleep is the most important thing. Turn your Wi-Fi off at night. If you can't live without it, turn it off. Stop carrying your mobile phones in your bra pocket or your laptops on your lap. I've seen big tumours in abdomens from that. Boys in their pockets, right, frying your testicles. Anything Bluetooth, don't have it. Don't have Bluetooth earphones. Wear the ones on wires. Yeah. And start reading, because if you keep watching on your phones, you will not be able to concentrate. You'll get ADHD. You won't be able to read more than a paragraph of a book. You've got to retrain your mind. Someone's saying India went to the moon. India's just made the fat jabs at a retail of 40 quid. So all these lot taking a Zempic and everything else. Eli Lilly, Trump was praising Eli Lilly, and they've made the fat jab. But India own 50% of the global drugs market, and they are buying up all the patents, but they just made the fat jab for 40 quid. So all of this lot that are buying Shein now and on the dating sites because they've suddenly lost all their weight, we're going to be getting it for 40 quid now, and there'll be even more of them die. You can't, my last parting word here, you cannot have your foot in each camp. You're either in this world, but not of it. You're either in utopia or you're in the savage reservation. It's difficult to have a foot in both camps. You can't have two masters. And this is where you need to go, you know what? I'm going to step out of that. Because every time you watch something, it's going to have an effect on your holy temple.
Exactly. Yeah, change comes from within, doesn't it? And I've never been in the military, but I've got a couple of dog tags there. One's got the armour of God on it. The other one's got the Serenity prayer on it.
You want to get on it, not for organ harvest.
Yeah, well, I might get a third
We're
one.
thinking of getting those made and selling them as bracelets, because they approach the family and they can overturn your decision.
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it?
Right, and also, just to say, in those documents, it does say I kept going in and in and in and further into other documents. It did say, it was a woman who said their expectation is that in the very near future, there will be no option. You'll automatically accept you're an organ donor after you die. You can't be dead to be an organ donor. So just remember that. So therefore, you're worth more alive than dead. You are alive then dead.
I've got to say, from what you were saying earlier as well, whenever I hear Frankie Goes to Hollywood in the future, I'm not going to be able not to sing now. When two tribes we all got a leaflet through the door. That's been going with my head.
Yeah, we got a leaflet getting you under stair cupboard. I mean, really? The Harry Potter suite, as it's now affectionately called. Yeah. Stop being afraid. There are no nuclear weapons. Enola Gay as well, if it's that. Enola Gay, I should have stayed at home yesterday. Yeah, that's BS as well. I've got a wonderful book on Hiroshima. They literally firebombed it. Look at the Bikini Islands. Go look at the Bikini Islands, folks. They did all their so-called radiation experiments, and you're not allowed there anymore. Well, how come all the flora and fauna and everything else is growing, but they're telling you it's dangerous? I hate to tell you the last time you looked, but living matter is living matter. If they're growing, we'd be all right. Yep. They're liars. They come to lie, cheat, steal and kill.
Well, and we've been lied to about everything, haven't we? We were told about 2 years ago that Japan just found 7,000 islands that they didn't know they had. I mean, it's pathetic, isn't it?
Yeah, and I had the great pleasure of meeting he was an United Nations photographer and reporter, and he's now a judge. And he was the one who found Tony Blair guilty of war crimes, and he's not allowed in certain countries. And he's absolutely Judge Alfred Weber. And I went on this court of natural law where I was on it for a couple of years with him. And I was on it before anyone else. We were having a chat, and I don't know how we got onto it, but when I worked for British Airways, some of the crew that had gone down to the Falklands as crew, because it was actually charter flights that went down and fetched the soldiers during the war with Argentina. Some of you might remember it, where you had HMS Sheffield that was sunk, and the Belgrano, and all of those young Argentinian boys that were just doing their national service slaughtered as well. But what actually happened down there was bioweapons labs down there, and Margaret Thatcher ordered in special forces to get the bioweapons and get rid of the people in there. And this Alfred told me this because we were talking about how the crew weren't allowed into Argentina when I worked for BA, if they were on this list. And of course, I used to go down to Buenos Aires, and I used to get very tearful. We used to stay in the Belgrano, opposite Belgrano station. And I used to see all these young men doing their national service in bell-bottom trousers. And I wept because I just bought a Sony Walkman. And HMS Sheffield and the Belgrano, I heard it listening to local radio at night, had been sunk. And there I was, and I thought, oh my gosh, they were kids. They were kids that were slaughtered. Bankers' wars. Remember the American Civil War? American banks funded both sides. Yeah. I could go on, the Holocaust, Dresden, and everything else, but I won't. But
Right, we'll let you go in a minute, Kate. Just Wendy said in the chat, could you ask Kate if the shedding from the jab is real, please? Because
I don't believe it is. I don't believe it is. I've started to change my opinion as well on. I've been amongst vaxxed people. I've got friends that are vaxxed. I don't really care. I've had loads and loads of vaccines in my life. Childhood vaccines. Vaccines when I nursed. Hep B vaccines. I've got several of those. I've had vaccines when I flew for BA on long haul. Probably I'd be more concerned if I were you about the TB shot. They've vaccinated the entire world with TB. Tuberculosis doesn't exist. It was I'm telling you what I believe. It was just when you were, it's toxicity. And this is when your your lungs were so full of dirt, they would bleed to try and get rid of it. And this is why you saw it at the turn of the Industrial Revolution, when people were living in terrible conditions and working down the mines. But they've injected the whole world with their TB shot, their tuberculosis shot. And we found all the documents showing that it sits in the body dormant, and it can sit in the lungs, in the pelvis, in the bone marrow, in the spine. And then what can activate it? EMFs going up 14, 15 gigahertz and up, your 5G. And now they're saying, oh, we're seeing outbreaks of TB. Anybody there's an outbreak in your area, you need to go and get your TB shot again. My twins were 5.5 weeks early, £4 and £5.6 when they were given a TB vaccine, because I was ignorant and because they were mixed race. And I believe that is what led to, because the twin boy that you saw, foolish young man, saying he was very ill. My daughter's twin, he was ill when he was 17 and collapsed, and he missed his A-levels and was in a wheelchair for 7 months. So I'd be more concerned about the TB shot. This shedding, think about this logically. Let's just think about this logically, and it might take away some of your fear. That's right, phlegm. When you have mucus is the body's detergent. If you have got a cold or a cough and the flu, say, excellent, my body's doing its job. What you do to help it along is stop eating dairy and meat and animal proteins when that process starts, and just have fruits and vegetables, smoothies, juices, water. And if you're having turmeric, you have it in between meals, because it will inhibit the body's uptake of iron. So if you're eating it with your meals, it will inhibit your uptake of iron from the food. You need the right acid in your stomach, 1.5 to 3.5, to extract your nutrients from your food. So if you've got EMF around you, it's going to drop. Thyroid function going down will drop it as you get older. So this is why you can have a little bit of apple cider vinegar, 15 mils in 4 ounces of water, 20 minutes before you have your food. People taking omeprazole thinking they've got too much acid. It's the other way around. You don't have enough acid, enough to make the cardiac sphincter relax. So you get the acid coming up your throat. It's all an inversion. Shedding. If you think about this logically, if that vaccine was just to kill us all as a weapon of mass destruction, it was a bit rubbish, really. It was a bit rubbish, because we're all still here, and millions got it. I believe, based on what I'm reading now, that it's more than that, and that those who've fallen were just collateral damage. They got sick, and what was in it has had a profound effect on them. But I think they were testing something. It's an experiment, what they're doing. The shedding, well, we'd all have it, wouldn't we? I've been magnetic. I've had paper clips stick to me when I go out walking because of what's being sprayed on us, heavy metals. Just come in and have a shower. That's all you need to do. Come in and have a shower. You can eat really high doses of vitamin C, yes, and quercetin and augmented NAC. But the best way to get all of these things, remember, vitamin C in nature comes as a compound. It comes with copper. It comes with vitamin P, which is all your bioflavonoids, vitamin J, which is what your mast cells need in your lungs, and it comes with ascorbic acid. It comes as a compound. If you take just pure vitamin C on its own all the time, you can end up with spider veins, bleeding out, varicose veins. You've got to be really careful, because supplement means supplementing a natural diet, not the other way around, pill popping supplements. People love to take pills. They write to me all the time, what can I take instead of this? What natural supplement can I take instead of this pill? And I go, no, you've got it all wrong. You need to get to the underlying cause. Let's heal the body. And I've got some amazing testimonies. So stop worrying about shedding. What are you going to do? Live in a bubble? Stop it. Guard your constitution. Nutrient-dense food. Spend your money on that. Clean water, clean air. Your distillery. People go, oh, it's really expensive. It'll heat the entire bloody room. Put it in the room that you spend most time in. That's what you need to do. Stop worrying about it. So I don't worry about shedding. Sorry.
My heating's 18 kilowatts. My 2 distillers blow out 750 watts, and I heat it up lovely in here. through the winter.
Exactly. So I don't really put my heating on. I just wear lots of clothes, like these old people that you see in summer, and you sort of think, why have they got all those clothes on? I sleep with 3 duvets on, a cat and 2 chihuahuas in the bed in winter, whatever. It's actually healthier. You know, when I was a kid, you heated the room you were in. Now you got radiators in every room and people walking around in their jockeys in winter. Imagine what your body is like. It's crispy. It's crispy. It's not natural. I have the windows open in winter because you're breathing out toxins. That's why your bedroom funks in the morning. It's very, very simple, but don't worry. People are saying quercetin and bromelain is in pineapples. That's right. It's in the center of the pineapple, your bromelain. And you need to eat the entire thing. That's your enzymes for digesting it, the same as papayas. People scrape the seeds away. That's where your enzymes are that you need to digest it, the same as the reason people fart when they have cauliflower is they throw the stalk away. You're supposed to cook the whole thing, eat the whole thing. People go, oh, I'm on a raw food diet. Well, good on you. But you get more calories from cooked food. And if you're already struggling, you should eat both, cooked and raw. I eat my salads raw, my fruit raw, my juices raw, and I eat cooked foods. People say about fasting. Well, if you're already sick, you've got cancer and you fast, it's like taking unpaid annual leave when your bank account's empty. It's not the time to fast. If you've got a degenerative disease, your body can no longer generate what we refer to as an immune response to damage DNA to either cause apoptosis to kill it or to repair it before mitosis occurs, your cell divides. And if it keeps on dividing, now you've got a mutation, a palpable detectable tumor. Your body tries to seal it off. What do they come along and do? Stick a needle in it. Yeah. They talk about, we need to do the chemo to mop up all the cells because the cancer cells are hiding because they've got brains and they're intelligent and they're seeding everywhere. Do you know that's a hypothesis? Cancer grows at a point of weakness. You build your constitution so that your body can do it itself. And you need to build it quicker than the tumor is growing. If you choose to do chemo, that's up to you. But you'd go a long way from changing your diet as well. And I have a lot of clients come to me that are doing chemo and they come to me for nutritional programs. And I give them programs to give to their oncologist to see if any of their natural supplements as well are contradicted whilst they're doing the chemo, and they'll do them in between. So, and you can't do coffee enemas when you're doing chemo because it'll kill you because all the toxins are held in the liver. So, you know, we work together. The worst thing in the world is for you to do something that you don't want to do because your relatives have told you to do it. Now, where people say, I stopped my daughter doing chemo, they gave her chemo without a consent form. They gave her prophylaxis chemotherapy and they gave her part of the chemo regime to start. It was in a high court statement. She didn't want to do it. I can't force her to do it. She was a very intelligent polyglot. She spoke several languages. She decided not to do it because she had a differential diagnosis that couldn't be confirmed in that tissue sample. They didn't give her a proper diagnosis. And they didn't, so they didn't do that. They didn't have a signed consent form. So she wouldn't do it. They didn't tell her. They treated her, which is goes against what's called the Montgomery versus Lanarkshire case, which is why we're pursuing them through the GMC. So they did all that, and she had a high court case. She didn't want to do it. So you see, and incidentally, I'll just tell you, they never took tissue samples or autopsy, even though there was an inquest opened and a police investigation. When we got our body back, we instructed tissues to be taken and they're saved in an undisclosed location, in a couple of locations, and it's going to be tested for toxicology because they never did it before they turned the ventilator off either. So you know what? You want to mess with me? Just remember, I'm not stupid. I have nothing to lose. You've taken my daughter. Nothing to lose. So don't be afraid, people. And just remember, the Lord said, all you shall need, you shall find in the seeds of the fruits of the trees, and the herbs shall be thy medicine. It's all in scripture. And if you look at what herbs are, they isolate the active compound of the herb. They make a synthetic version that comes with side effects, and then they put a patent on it. So you see, there's nothing new, absolutely nothing new. So you can start, I grow herbs. I've just made a load of salves. I'm not telling anyone else to do it. I'll do it for my own. I'm wearing a bit of salve at the moment, just here. I made myself some bloodroot with salve and beeswax, and it took me 3 hours to prep it, and I followed everything, and every batch will be a different. I'm trying to locate it in the woods so I can get my own blood root. You know, I have a whole library, 2 walls, floor to ceiling, of books on. I've got sections on herbs, on cannabis, on everything you can name. It's all there.
Yeah, people, if you live off nature's medicine and you live in love and not fear, you're going to do yourself far better than going to any doctor or any hospital for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I just want to ask, thrombocytopenia. Someone's saying he was given the AstraZeneca vaccine and he got damage with thrombocytopenia. On September 6th and December 9th of 2020, a scientist called Scully from Oxford University already came up with that it was going to cause thrombocytopenia, thrombosis, and transverse myelitis. The MHRA was alerted, government knew, there was a government post, so all the politicians knew, but they still went and gave 20 million UK citizens the AstraZeneca. They sold it to America and to Australia, so they knew. They already knew. So, you know, when thrombocytopenia, someone's saying, and I'm not saying, you know, it's not for me to say to people about, you know, I don't agree with your beliefs. If they believe their father died as getting cancer from shedding, the very fact that they were given the AstraZeneca vaccine, it's degraded the constitution down so much that, remember what I said cancer is? It's a metabolic disorder. It's a metabolic disorder. And Dr. Max Gerson at Autopsy discovered that all his patients with cancer that died were deficient of iodine in the thyroid gland. Now, if it's metabolic, what you call your constitution, your immunity, I like to call it constitution, can no longer generate an immune response. Why? Because it's deficient in vitamins, minerals, and enzymes. Well, what might do that? There are things that you can take, that you are taking, like the birth control pill. Straight away when you take the birth control pill, it's going to destroy certain vitamin deposits in your body. So it's lowering your constitution. So this is why you're seeing more cancer, because we are now so under attack. Our constitutions are so degraded. Our food, when it reaches the table, isn't nutrient dense. So we're seeing babies born with cancer because the mother, the most important time of a child's life is the year before it's conceived. So if you're thinking of having a baby with a woman, or if you are a woman, you need to get this vehicle into the best God shape of its life. Flood your body with nutrients. Get rid of toxins. Don't wear toxic makeup. There's loads of clean brands. I'm wearing some. I've got some toxic things on, but don't put deodorant under your arms. Don't use toxic cleaning fluids and toxic wash fluids. Get your body into the best shape of your life. Go to bed early every year. Yeah, mushrooms. Yeah, even toadstools that they tell you are poisonous. I know. Start doing that for yourself. Get your body. You are the queen. And if you're putting your seed in there, fella, you need to know that she's going to carry your child. And once she's pregnant, you better be feeding her like her entire life depends on it, because it does. Because the first 7 years of that child's life, you've got a little bit of time that you can change what they've done. After that, it's set. It's set. So you better really think long and hard about what you're growing inside and in your testes. Takes 70 odd days for new sperm to be made. Ejaculate every day, get them cleared out every single day. I don't care what it takes to do it, as long as it's not the dog. Always with your partner. Don't watch porn, because it's corrupting your mind and then you won't be able to get it up for normal things. But people say to me, we've gone to, I've got to tell you this. I had a lovely couple come to me. They had one child and they had a miscarriage, and now she couldn't get pregnant. And they'd spent thousands at infertility specialists. They came to me. I said, stop it. Stop having timed intercourse. Stop doing all of that. Just stop it. Throw it all out the window. Here's your diet. Here's your supplements. Get on with it. If you want to have sex, have sex. Start looking at each other and get a tantric sex video. Get down and dirty and do it. 3 months later, she sends me a text. She's pregnant. Oh my goodness me. 8 weeks later, she sends me a text. I start crying. I think she has about 4 weeks left. She's having twin boys. Hurrah! And it cost 250 quid for my consult. That was it. And the program and all the support. I've done programs for her since. All part of it. I did it for the first 3 months of pregnancy, foods, the last 3 months when your body uses the most vitamin C. So you need to really ramp that up with smoothies, green vegetables and supplement, because it stops the, this is why babies get jaundice when they're born. It's lack of vitamin C in the mother. They don't tell you that.
No.
I'm a struck off nurse and I don't know anything. I'm Barbie nurse.
Kate, I've loved having you on today. We both have, haven't we? What an amazing guest. I knew you would be.
Thank you so much. And sorry that I let everybody down before.
That's right. We cracked
on. Listen, folks, join my website. Come with us on the round table on a Thursday night. I do teaching sessions. It's not for me. Look at that picture. Look at those eyebrows. I've got to change it. I don't know what I was thinking. I just had some semi-permanent clean makeup put on and I thought, oh my word, they're horrific. There's me actually roll down. Look at that. 23 and 53. If you roll back down. No, you've gone too far, but never mind. Right. That's my cancer story. It's all there.
Yeah.
And and I do IV vitamins in my house for all different reasons. It's all there. I've got a treatment room, but I do tuning forks. I'm learning. But you know, the round table, the whole point is it's not me learning and going to my grave with it. It's to share it. Do with it what you will, but it's to share it. And there are lovely people on there. I'm sure there's some rat bags on there that are just on there to, you know, try and catch us out. But it's up to you. Never stop taking your prescription medication. You can't just stop, because a lot of them, you would need to wean off them. But you can throw your statins in the bin. No, take them back to the pharmacy and throw them in their bin. Statins are just terrible. Blood pressure, it's not what you were told it was at all. Everything's not what you've told it was. And the Lord is waiting. The Lord is waiting. It's the Christ within, because he doesn't care about all of the sheep over there. He wants those random sheep over there that are wandering off in the wilderness. It's about getting them back in. And you know, you'll feel so empowered. You'll feel so empowered. And when your doctor gets rat baggy with you, it's because you just caught him out.
Yeah, exactly that. So, yeah, there's Kate's website, kate.shemirani.com.
Oh, there's loads of blocks on it. If you can't get on, go out, use a different device, go back in. They don't like me.
Yeah, they don't like us either. I had my 8th Facebook shutdown yesterday. My mate set another one up for me, different email address and everything. As soon as it went live, I was banned for 180 days using a different name. So,
yeah, I lost everything in 2020. I had over 1 million followers here, there, and everywhere. And they took everything down. Then I got my Twitter back a couple of years ago, and then I got a Facebook account back. Yeah, you know what? People spend too much time on them, and the way out really is. And I see all these influencers. Lorna Lux, she's a very pretty girl. She's just lost her husband, but she keeps talking about her hair loss. And she's got all this hair loss and extensions. This is all my hair, folks. I've got masses of hair and I'm 60. You are what you eat. Today's food becomes tomorrow's sales. No amount of exercise or prescription medications is an offset for a poor diet. These people are putting so much shit on their faces and in their bodies. They're so toxic and eating garbage food, and they wonder why their hair's rubbish and their skin's rubbish. But I do follow some of these people because I like the clothes. I like what they sell. But they're living a different life to us because they're not watching all the algorithms of all the rubbish that we're watching. They only look at butterflies and nice stuff, and so they're happy bunnies. Look at them all. I don't agree with horse racing, but Cheltenham horse trials, they were all there. I mean, I'd rather rub my eyeballs with sandpaper, but they were all there in their expensive clothes. And they're all in the boxes with their beautiful tweed. I do like one of these designer. I like her stuff because it's wool, the blazers and everything. But they're laughing at all of the ones with their cheap stuff. They laugh at us. They laugh. But they're living a different life. They don't even know what's going on. They've all been vaxxed. How come they're not dead? Because it's all a louche harm.
Yeah.
Also, someone's saying you must get Kate back. Thank you, Peter's friend 77.
That's Wendy.
Oh,
We've got some beautiful people in our chats. They're great. Occasionally we get a loon coming in.
Oh, I like the loons.
Yeah, normally from YouTube. But yeah, we've got some great followers out there. And Kate, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. This was so amazing.
Well, you're very welcome.
All right,
have a blessed day, and everybody out there, you've got to say thank you for everything that you have. And
gratitude.
It raises your vibration to be in gratitude.
Yeah, serve somebody. I gave my last, sometimes I get really skint like everybody else. I gave my last tenner to a lady that sells the Big Issue. She's Romanian. She's got 7 kids. She's beautiful. None of her kids have had any vaccines.
Wow.
She works her arse off. She buys the Big Issue, but I gave her a tenner to buy some of the kids. I said, go and buy them some melons and pineapples. And she's talking about going back to Romania because of what she's seeing. But serve somebody today. Go and do something for somebody else.
Yeah, exactly that.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you,
Oh,
everyone.
I better ring my daughter now. She's ill.
Oh, we'll give her our love. Yeah,
Yes.
Take
care.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. See ya. Bye.
This is the difference between the power of our Creator and anything else, particularly evil. That you can go into a pitch black room full of evil, full of darkness, and light a little candle, and instantly that darkness flees. But you can't do the opposite. You can't go into a well-lit room full of truth and wisdom and righteousness and joy and health and harmony with the universal power. And you can't take any amount of darkness and go into that well-lit room and have any effect whatsoever. That is the metaphor which I frequently think of when I think that I'm not empowered. It is the greatest lesson for me, and I think for everybody else, to know that we're on the winning side and that we win in the end.